This has stuck with me at 43, Book 3 in the 40-something Singles of Virginia Beach series by Kimberly Krey. Chapter 1. Jessica. Something unexpected happened to me on Halloween night. Nothing supernatural or spooky, but haunting all the same. I'm Jessica Sherry, a chief advisor in the bank and loan industry. Thanks to my red hair and generous curves, some call me Jessica Rabbit, but I prefer Boss Babe, a name that encompasses who I am, not who I look like. I'm not the only single 40-something boss babe in Virginia Beach. There's Annika, wedding planner extraordinaire who has yet to plan her own wedding, and Shelley, who uses her unique boss energy to fundraise. She's an heiress of a large fortune. Together, we're the boss babes in triplicate, and we're living life in style. While other 40-somethings deal with the juvenile dramas of their kids and teens and tweens, we live it up like everyone dreams. Why settle for egg hunts, city fireworks, and small-time spook alleys when you can enjoy an Easter escape, independence excursion, or a Halloween hideaway in Beverly Hills? My fellow boss babes and I were prepping for that posh party in 90210 when it all began. Our Beverly Hills suite glows with that lighting you can only call expensive. Its distinct tone gives a golden shimmer to everything in its reach: the rich, textured fabric of the bamboo rug, the silk of the throw pillows, and the sleek marble of the makeup vanity that takes up an entire wall in the master bath. I'm in said bathroom, standing before the mirrors to help Shelley squeeze into her costume when a phone buzzes from the vanity. "Was that mine?" Shelley asks, spinning to look over her shoulder. The zipper clasp slides out of my grip. "Nope," Annika says from the vanity stool. "It's mine." "Hold still," I caution Shelley. "We lost an inch." Shelley's black leather catsuit was custom-made by a tailor who underestimated what a monthly cycle can do to the female form, especially at our age. I caved and bought special skirts and slacks to accommodate said change because if I look good, I usually feel good too. "Oh my gosh," Annika says, "you guys have to see how cute this is." She abandons her makeup station to meet us beside the mirror. Halfway to the top, I hold tight to the tiny clasp and manage to tug it back up to her lower back. Thank goodness, we're past the hips. I move it up her spine effortlessly until it slows at the broader part of her back between her shoulder blades. Annika flashes the phone screen in our direction to reveal a photo. It's Ashley Chen, Annika's sister, standing beside her fiancé, Liam Wheaton, and a bunch of teens in costume. "Isn't that so cute?" Annika says. "The cutest," I agree. I'm so happy for those guys. Both Ashley and Liam went through miserable divorces after miserable marriages. It's nice to see the good guys win once in a while. Shelley lets out a gasp as she admires it. Adorable. The zipper slides in reverse toward the small of Shelley's back. "Don't breathe," I blurt. "Quick, push all the air out of your lungs." She does, and the shiny leather collapses at either side. Perfect. I grip the tiny clasp harder and pull. Up it goes, over her rib cage, between the bulbous width of her shoulder blades, and right up the back of her neck. I let go of the clasp and lift my hands in the air. "Bam, baby." "I'm in?" Shelley asks. "You're in." I dust my hands. Mission accomplished. "Thank you." I would sigh in relief, Shelley says, but the leather won't let me. Annika stands nearby, still scanning the photos with a dopey grin on her face. I tilt my head to better see the screen while Shelley spins in place, checking her reflection in the mirror. That's Liam's oldest, Grace, and her boyfriend, Link, his son, Cam. And look how big Ashley's kids are now. She points to Lucy and Cameron. I grin. They're all so beautiful. "And who are all those little kids?" I ask as she scrolls through the rest of the photos. "They're at the trunk or treat. Think it's in the parking lot of Liam's church." I spot the cross on the steeple behind Lucy. Wow. I remember going to those when I was young. Lucy stands beside a miniature Dracula and a pint-sized Dorothy. A fairy princess balances on a pair of plastic heels nearby while grasping the hand of a kid in a baseball costume, his broad smile a mass of oversized teeth and dark gaps. I grin fondly at the picture of brotherly love. I always wanted a big brother. One that would step in and do all the things my dad never did. Shelley has that. In fact, Shelley's brother once decked his best friend for making a pass at her. Sadly, I don't have any siblings, It was just my mom and me doing our best to scrape by. "Never let a man do this to you, Jessie," she'd say, "never." And I never did. I stayed strong, independent, and happy despite the rare spells of loneliness, something casual dating usually curbed, but something about the stark contrast between the families in the photos and the fancy hotel suite, not to mention the bubbling champagne and admittedly self-indulgent costumes, feels, well, shallow. "Look how cute they decorated Liam's truck for the event," Shelley adds, as Annika scrolls through the remaining images. Luckily, Shelley swoops in just in time to take my space and offer all the oohs and ahs the photos merit. I, on the other hand, opt for another glass of champagne. Why not? We aren't stuck in some silly parking lot handing out candy to other people's kids. We were going somewhere important. But important to who? An intruder in my mind dares ask. To society, I decide. And to us as independent women, we're boss babes, and we're here to have a great time. So why is this good time losing its shine? Annika really hedged about coming, I remind myself. She said she didn't want to miss seeing the kids in their costumes. I can almost see why. An image of the toothy baseball player comes to mind. Something about that grin warms and hurts my heart at the same time. No, I've already made my choices in life. I'm not going to go back to that place of regret. This is where I am. Still, no matter how hard I try to shed the dark cloud of discontent that crashes in on me like a flash storm, it stays with me throughout the evening. Sure, I walk my best walk, talk my sassy talk, and flash my glistening whites for every photo op, but inwardly, the emptiness inside makes me feel like a fraud. For the first time in a long time, I'm not happy with life as it is. I'm no longer content. But, I tell myself, come morning, or at least by the time I get home, I'll snap out of whatever silly stupor came over me. I'll be satisfied once again.
Chapter 2. Jake. 40-something singles chat group. Anonymous. I'm posting anonymously for obvious reasons. I want to know if any of you have heard of Extreme Matchmaking Reform Therapy, EMRT. Before you judge, I'll just come out and say it. I'm the problem. Jessica Rabbit. Sounds like you want someone else to swoop in and fix your problem because you're not willing to fix it yourself. Anonymous. At Jessica Rabbit. Correction, babe. I don't know how to fix the problem. And aren't you late for a Botox appointment? Ben Swy, but wild. No, dude, don't do it. These guys have legit lawsuits against them for endangering their clients. They're certifiable, bro. Extreme, as in life-threatening, punishing, severe. I jump out of planes for a living and you couldn't pay me to sign up. #abort, #save yourself. Nelly girl. I know what you can do about your problem. How about you stop treating women like they don't matter? Luke's tur. Don't change for a chick. #not worth it at Nelly girl. Bitter much? Anonymous at Nelly girl. Sounds like you're nursing some wounds. Maybe I can help you with that before I buckle down and accept help. Nelly girl at Anonymous. Oh, so tempting, but no. Talk to me after the therapy. I'm sick of being the before girl. Elijah. I've actually been looking into this too. It does sound extreme, but a man's gotta change somehow. DM me if you really go through with it. #brosman up, even if it kills us. Nelly girl at Elijah. DM me after you finish the course. I'd give anything to be somebody's after girl. Jessica Rabbit. Can you really see yourself committed to the same woman for the rest of your life? Is that honestly something you want, or are you just trying to trick women who are looking for that into thinking you feel the same? If it's the latter, cease and desist. #women are tired, #do better. Anonymous at Jessica Rabbit. Thanks for the encouragement, sweetheart. Tell you what, call your chiropractor and schedule an attitude adjustment. Might treat. #always a pleasure. I'm trying to do better. Geez. I lean back from my laptop screen and fold my arms, glaring at the exchange. Jessica, she's a feisty one. Not that I can blame her. If any woman has her crap together, it's her. But for most men, a woman who so obviously doesn't need a man is intimidating. It doesn't intimidate me, though. In fact, that's the sexiest thing about her in my opinion. And while it's obvious she doesn't need a man, it's also clear that she actually wants a man. Why else would she date so often and show up at the singles events? I picture her full, pouty lips, her generous curves, and those red locks that make her stand out in a crowd, all of which helped her earn the nickname Jessica Rabbit. Her comments were harsh, but had she known it was me, they would have been worse. It's hard to say why she and I don't seem to like each other. For me, it was all the hype. I went to a rival high school, but even still, she was the chick all the guys talked about. It's like when a new band comes out, and everyone keeps saying how amazing they are, but when you hear them, you're like, they're fine, I guess, but not that great. We mingle in the same crowd, of course, since we're both part of the 40-something singles group, and, if I can be brutally honest, we're both at the top of our league, if you know what I'm saying. Attractive, wealthy, confident. It's like she's the female version of me in the group, the leader of the pack, if you will. And instead of clicking like one might expect, we clash instead. I go to painstaking efforts to not compliment the woman, mainly because everyone else is busy doing that for her, and I'd bet my favorite three-piece suit that she does the very same thing with me. If we speak anything in one another's company, it's something snarky. A pointed word of sarcasm aimed in the other's direction. Someone tells Jessica she looks gorgeous, I mumble. Yeah, maybe you should thank her surgeon. Someone compliments me on my hulking figure, and she coughs out the word steroids. She is gorgeous, I'll give her that, and I do respect her. How couldn't I? But I just don't like her, and I know she doesn't like me. And freaking Luke. Of course, he's against the treatment. He's against any form of self-improvement, because that would be fessing up to an imperfection, which he's never been willing to do. Still, having someone like Luke as one of your closest buddies is good for the ego. It makes me feel not so bad. My other buddy, Elijah, on the other hand, has the opposite effect. He's a milder, tamer version of me. He's the one that balances me out and makes me want to be better. Reading Nellie's comment drops a shred of regret in my growing guilt tank. I have 2 younger sisters, and with all the lengths I went to make sure they were treated right, let's just say I haven't returned the favor to my fellow brothers out there. I'd have never wanted Kelly or Kinsey to date a guy like me. I open a new tab and pull up their website. Once it opens, I read the mission statement heading the page. We here at Extreme Matchmaking Reform Therapy strive to help you pinpoint what's holding you back. Then, we use an extreme, never-before-tried method to remove the obstacle, helping you attain what you really desire, an unhindered, long-lasting relationship with your perfect match. It's followed by a simple entry form that gathers, aside from the typical name, email, username, password crap, a questionnaire that makes me wonder how stereotypical I'll come across if I answer truthfully. Take our free test to see what's holding you back. 1. On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want a committed relationship? 2. Do you see a cycle in the demise of your past relationships? If so, describe the pattern. 3. Are you worthy of love and devotion? 4. Are you capable of giving love and devotion? 5. Which of your traits make you the hero? 6. Which of your traits make you the villain? And that's it. Talk about intimidating. If I were taking the quiz in person, I'd at least be able to read the reactions to each response through body language and facial expressions. I read people very well, which is why I'm at the top of my game. I'm highly intelligent too. Not to toot the horn of my own investment yacht, but I'm the only guy I know who can spit out roughly 90% of the Jeopardy answers before the contestants. I glide my cursor further down the screen. I've already filled out the standard info, something the site has retained on file because the boxes are filled in. That probably counts against me too. Let's keep track of how many times each potential client has visited our site and how long it took them to actually fill out the quiz. I can't be certain that that's their plan, but that's how I would do it. And the longer it took for them to commit, the worse their punishment would be. Whoa, who said anything about punishment? But then I recall Ben's reply. Yes, extreme methods could look and feel like punishments, but maybe I need that? I'm not a very good man, and the worst part is, even though I can admit that, I don't know how to change it. I glance at the corner of my screen to check the time. Another minute ticks by. If I'm getting timed by this freaking company, I want to at least do well on that portion. Should I just do it? I should do it. I'm doing it. Before I can change my mind, I tap the space beside question number 1. 1. On a scale of 1 through 10, how badly do you want a committed relationship? I go for it. Depends on the day. Enter. Sorry. Must be a number between 1 and 10. I sigh, wanting to exit right out of the tab. Come on, Jake. How bad do you want it? I picture my nieces and nephews, cute little squirts, and feel that annoying squeeze around my heart. Jealousy rocks through me next as I consider the married clan in my fam. Kelly and Mark, Kinsey and Ted, they walk around with all this freaking joy on their faces. It's not normal. They're supposed to be miserable, aren't they? I mean, sometimes they fight. And while I'd never want to see either of my sisters go through a divorce, the sick side of me always takes a wee bit of comfort in those moments of disharmony. You're a bad person, Jake. I nod. I know. I glare at the stupid answer box, figuring I'm probably getting timed on this one too. I rephrase the question. How badly do I want what the blissfully married couples in my family have? I like that question better. I don't exactly want it, but I wish I did because my current shtick isn't making me very happy. So it's settled. 10. Enter. This time it goes. A streak of fear slithers through me at that answer. I'm practically begging for the most extreme measure they offer. Well, now that I've put myself out there, may as well be as honest and transparent as possible. No more BS, man. 2. Do you see a cycle in the demise of your past relationships? If so, describe the pattern. Me. Yes. It goes like this. I fall for a woman, and then poof, I lose interest. Poof, I get bored. Poof, I want out. Enter. I can't believe I just admitted that. 3. Are you worthy of love and devotion? I tap out the keys. No, but I want to be. Enter. Man, I am hitting it out of the park today. Next. 4. Are you capable of giving love and devotion? Crap. I force an honest answer. I hope so. I'm about to hit enter when I realize how devoted I am to my sisters, and I love them. I hit backspace and try again. Yes. Enter. 5. Which of your traits make you the hero? Hero's a strong word. If investing were a superpower, I'd be all over this one. Here goes nothing. I'm loyal, strong, and I hate injustice enough to fight against it. Enter. I hate myself right now. Talk about corny. What am I, Captain America? But seriously, they're the ones that made me say it. What a stupid question. 6. Which of your traits make you the villain? Is it bad that this one is much easier to answer? I let my fingers do the talking. I'm selfish, self-absorbed, and I've probably broken a whole lot of hearts because of it. Enter. I stare at the screen to see what happens next. Nothing happens. A box below the entry form flashes. It's one of those accept all terms boxes, and since I'm tense and nauseous and not in the mood to comb through the linked document, I click it so a checkmark appears inside. An asterisk note beneath reminds me that they already have my payment info. Why don't you just get stupid stamped on your forehead, buddy? I razz myself. You're an idiot if you do this. I gulp, lower my fingers and tap. Enter. Suddenly, the page's 4 corners contract, shrinking into the center like it's puckering up for a kiss. When it opens back up, repeating the action in reverse, the page turns a bright, abnormal shade of red. And then the thing starts typing. It's like one of those lame little tricks they use in old 80s flicks, a rectangular blinking cursor spelling a message, 1 block letter at a time. The sound of an old typewriter taps along, enhancing the effect. Your wish is our command. You won't know when, you won't know how, but rest assured, it will be done. Well, that was ominous. A dart of something that feels like fear pricks my subconscious. I tap the X in the corner of the page and sigh when it closes out. I close the laptop and stare at it. I feel icky, and I can't explain why. I push my office chair away from the desk, then walk the thing backward a few more feet for good measure. A shiver rocks through me. If I could go back and undo what I just did, I would, and then I'd never revisit that site. I hate that they have my name, my payment information, and my pathetic, vulnerable answers to their stupid quiz. So what? I puff my chest, shoot to a stand, and send the chair for a ride back to the desk. Then I grab my phone and call Luke. I think I'm in need of a boys' trip.
Chapter 3. Jessica. I skewer a gorgeous roll of prosciutto and dunk it into the pot of melted cheese. Both Luke and Elijah commented on it, I say, filling Annika in on the 40-something singles chat page. But we still don't know who Mr. Anonymous is. I take a bite, reminding myself to savor the delicious calories. I'm treating myself, after all. I wouldn't mind finding out, Shelley says while popping her brows. Shelley had seen the chat for herself, she just hadn't chimed in. Annika, who's direct like me, shakes her head. I'd like to find out who he is for different reasons, so I can steer clear of him. At least he can admit he has a problem, Shelley says in the guy's defense. And he's actually willing to do something extreme to solve it. True. Annika allows. Sounds like you gave him a lot of crap, Jessica, but you have to admit that, whoever the guy is, he's a far cry from Luke Wheaton. Talk about a bad seed. His brothers are great. I love how you hate him, I say ruefully, but she's right. I'd never invest in a guy like Luke. I date him occasionally, mainly because he's fun to hang out with, but there's an unspoken agreement that neither of us wants anything from the other. I turn my thoughts to Mr. Anonymous. If nothing else, I say, I'm intrigued. Nobody wants a problem child, but I think that what Shelley says has merit. Most guys, like Luke for example, don't admit to being the problem. Still, Annika says while twirling her skewer. A long pull of cheese stretches, then breaks as she lifts the speared ciabatta bread away from the pot. I'm with Nellie. I'd like to meet a guy who's already put in the work. Heaven knows I've been putting in the work for years now. Shelley shrugs. I pulled up the Extreme Reform website and poked around a bit. There aren't a whole lot of details about what they do on their page. They have letters of reference and reviews, but as far as the methods they use, that's all pretty vague. Scary, Annika says. I really want to know who it is. Any guesses? She looks at Shelley because the heiress has more time on her hands than the rest of us. Shelley nods. I made a list on my phone of who it could be, and while it could logically be a dozen or two guys from the group, I've narrowed it down to one. My eyes bulge. I cough. What? How? Well, Shelley says, resting her skewer on her plate and using her hands to speak. Mainly by his interaction with you, Jess. Think about it. The Botox comment, the whole attitude adjustment snark. Who does that sound like to you? An image of Jake Silver slides into my mind. That cocky poise and devilish grin. No one. I lie. Actually, I amend. It reminds me of a number of guys. I can think of a handful off the top of my head. It's probably some jaded divorce who's blaming all women for his woes. Annika lifts a finger in the air, grunting as she swallows her drink. I have a guess, she says, dabbing her chin with the linen napkin. Jake Silver. Yes, Shelley shrieks. Doesn't that sound exactly like him? Annika looks at me. It sounds like him where Jessica is involved. You like how I hate Luke? Let's talk about how you hate Jake. I don't hate Jake, I correct. I just don't like him. I'm indifferent. Oh yeah? Annika challenges. Indifference would mean you never had a good or bad thing to say. You two are always ribbing each other. Yeah, Shelley agrees, a wide smile on her face. It's like love-hate. She sighs like it's romantic. I shake my head adamantly. No, not even. You've got to be attracted to the guy, Annika inserts. I roll my eyes and gather my poise, because I am not willing to lose this battle. Everyone is attracted to Jake Silver on some level, yes. Can I admit that he's attractive? Of course. Do I find myself attracted to him personally? No, it's totally void. My face flushes with warmth, and since I'm not sure why, I dissect what I've said. I wasn't lying. I don't feel anything for Jake. But there's something in that claim that feels, not false per se, but a little less than true. I'd always heard about Jake Silver back in the day. My friends promised I'd die when I saw how gorgeous he was in person. In pictures, he was beautiful. I know it's conceited, but I was used to having guys fall all over themselves trying to ask me out. So when Jake and I were introduced at a party one night, I lifted my chin, barely gave him a glance, and acted as unimpressed as possible. I don't know if he was acting or not, but somehow, he came off even less impressed with me. And so began my odd relationship with Jake Silver. Annika and Shelley are chatting excitedly about I'm not sure what, but I'm glad the heat is off me. I force my mind off stupid Jake, and find myself cruelly recalling the images on Annika's phone from Halloween. In stark contrast, I picture the selfies we posted with our typical nights out hashtags. Hashtag BossBabesUnite, hashtag FeelingAllRight, and hashtag Oh What a Night. There's an emptiness nagging at my insides, gnawing away my contentment for where I am in life. Where I might be in a year or two from now, will I still be posting boss babe pics in my 50s and 60s? Okay, I'm just going to be the one to say it, Annika says. Something's bothering you, Jessica. Shelley and I have both noticed it. Is business tanking? Are you depressed? Did Princess Penelope die? I shoot Annika a scolding look for even suggesting that final option. Princess Penelope is the healthiest turtle that's ever lived. No one is more pampered than she is. She'll probably outlive us all. Okay, Annika says, lifting her hands up at either side. So, what is it? I glance at Shelley, who nods encouragingly and leans slightly in my direction. I look back at Annika, hating that I have to say this to my fellow boss babes, the very women I've talked up and praised for their similar traits, drive and ambition. I never imagined that one day it would leave me feeling so empty. I drop my gaze and poke at my pile of crusty bread. I don't know. Something happened to me on Halloween. Did you make out with that vampire? Shelley asks. I was wondering that same thing, Annika says. He was all over you that night, and then he was just gone. My face turns into a scowl. Are you guys kidding right now? You think I feel like this over a guy? Some Edward freaking wannabe at a Halloween party? I shake my head and scoff in case they haven't yet grasped how offensive that is. He got lost because I told him to get lost after he offered to make me immortal. So, no, that's not it. I don't feel rejected by some guy from the party. I don't feel rejected by anyone, I say. But then, an image of Justin pops into my head, making me feel like a liar. I'm just starting to feel like this lifestyle isn't doing it for me anymore. I wanted it to be enough. I thought it would be enough until I died. But this whole time, I keep putting myself out there. I show up to the singles events. I do my fair share of flirting, and I accept date invites. I didn't tell myself that I would never get married and have kids. But I did decide that if I ended up single my whole life, I'd be just fine. I'd be happier, in fact, than had I gone the traditional route. You guys know how bitter and man-hating my mom's been. Until recently, I add, since she's engaged now. I never wanted to be that way. I pinch my lips together because I didn't intend to present an entire diatribe. The truth is, I'm a girl's girl, all empowerment and strength. I'm the one who lifts, supports, and wipes away tears. I like it that way. And I most definitely do not want to be the Debbie Downer of the group by admitting I want something I don't know how to get. It's nice to hear you say this honestly, Annika says. It's no secret that I want to find the right guy. I want to have kids of my own. I've already frozen my eggs just in case it ever happens. Me too, Shelley admits. I nod because I already knew that. In fact, I looked into doing the same thing. I wonder if it's too late now. I'm 43 after all. I guess this is just you finally getting to the point that you want the same things we want. Shelley shrugs as she says it. I think most people want it, really. I nod. Well, I still feel like I let you guys down. Maybe I wanted to be the strong one who never sought a life outside her own reach. I achieve every one of my work goals, because I make sure they're attainable before I set them. I don't want to make finding a husband my next pursuit because, what if I fail? Annika leans over the table and places a hand on mine. Jessica, honey, you're one of the brightest women I know, so don't take offense when I say that it's just plain stupid of you not to make that your goal. When you want something, you go out and get it. Why should this be any different? Why should this be the one thing that you don't wholeheartedly pursue? The question hits me like a bad 80s perm. I really have been looking at it that way. I've seen love as something that either happens to you or it doesn't, that either comes your way or stays away. Maybe you've been approaching this all wrong, Shelley adds in my silence. And you know what? It's actually a good thing that you haven't made this one of your goals or pursuits yet. That means that you still have that option in the bank. Cash it out. Set your mind to it and make it happen. You're a boss babe, right? Right, I say, but it comes out a little breathy because I'm not sure I'm okay with where this is going. Oh, like that was convincing, Annika says, sounding disgusted. Try it again. You are a boss babe, say it. I'm a boss babe. Shelley adds the next line. And whatever you set your mind on, you get. There's so much encouragement in her voice that my chest wells with triumphant hope. Whatever I set my mind on, I get. Then it's settled, Annika says as she lifts her champagne glass toward the center. You've achieved all the goals you've gone for, and you've paved the path for your fellow boss babes to do the same. Now, it's time to blaze a new trail. Go make your mark and get a good man. Cheers to that, Shelley says, as she moves her glass in as well. I lift mine too, eyeing Annika as I clink hers, then Shelley as I clink her glass next. Here's to finding a good man, I say. Cheers!
Chapter 4. Jake. I'm chalking it up to a moment of temporary insanity. There's no other way to explain why a detail-oriented professional like myself would frivolously log private information into some sketchy website and click the infamous accept box. It turns out that EMRT, Extreme Matchmaking Reform Therapy, has gained more popularity than I realized. Make that notoriety, and it's growing every day. In fact, ever since I poured my vulnerable heart out on their prodding questionnaire, I've been bombarded with content relating to it. As evident in the viral video I've paused on my phone. Paused, because I'm not sure I can take hearing one more horror story/expose. The title of this particular video is printed across the screen, How EMRT Almost Killed Me. My thumb hovers over the play button as I contemplate. I don't fully trust any of them. People will say anything to get views. Could some of the stories be legit? Maybe. But one semi-legit story probably triggered a stream of absurd tall tales, each trying to outdo the other. I tap the screen anyway. The video starts, some blonde sitting in her car, a jumbo fountain drink in one hand. If you are considering extreme matchmaking reform therapy, I'm here to change your mind, friend. Her eyes are wide and serious, her expression is tight and severe, and as she recounts her story involving a stalled car in the middle of nowhere and the hero of the day who swooped in to save her, I find myself doubting once again. None of these stories seem plausible. The company's probably going to start taking legal action against these guys for slander. Yes, I decide, closing out of the tab. In a fresh search tab, I type, EMRT sues influencers for slander, fake stories, lies about their experience with the company, CEO furious. That should do it, I say, clicking the arrow. What have we got? Well, that wasn't what I expected. Seems the lawsuits are going in the other direction here. Man sues extreme matchmaking reform therapy after losing right arm and stunt gone wrong. An arm? I blurt before glancing about my empty office. I sympathetically run a hand down the length of my arm while scrolling down to read the next. Woman claims she's lucky to be alive after a bad EMRT encounter. Couple says EMRT brought them together. They only wish it hadn't cost them so dearly. I cringe, skimming the first line of the article. Years of therapy won't be enough. Sure. I'm being biased right now. I'm giving more credit to the material that supports my narrative, that the company is successful, trustworthy, and cutting edge in its approach. And I always appreciate a cutting edge. I wouldn't actually be this invested if I hadn't clicked that cursed box. Plus, I haven't received one email from them since I signed up, which is odd considering the fact that, after I first created the profile, I was getting like 5 emails a week. I'd at least expect some statement or welcome email with further instructions. A knock sounds on my door, and I glance up to see Elijah and Luke, who work in the same skyrise, stride in. Early lunch, Luke declares. You up for it? I check the clock. Usually, we do a weekly lunch on Mondays at 12:40. It's not even 12 yet. What for? You said you're ready for a boys' trip? Elijah asks. We can totally squeeze one in before the holidays. And I know just the travel agent who can make it happen. Of course he does. Picture it. Luke says, spreading his hands out before him. Late-night cocktails, neon lights, music drifting over the crowd. I'm thinking someplace tropical. Lots of babes and lots of Bacardi. I slide the warning tick-tock off my screen, adrenaline pumping through me at the thought. Yes, this is the exact behavior I'm trying to leave behind. And yes, I've been telling myself that it's time to make a change. I'm not getting any younger. Still, it was pretty admirable of me to fill out that questionnaire. Let's face it, it's admirable for me to even consider taking part in some extreme form of therapy. That's me admitting I have a problem. Soon I'll probably do something about it. In fact, since I'm good at cutting deals, I cut myself one right here and now. I'll go on one last boys' trip, then I'll man up and take action, make a drastic sacrifice or change. Yes, absolutely. I nod because it feels so right. My chest puffs as I shoot to my feet, lock eyes with Elijah, and grin. Count me in.
Chapter 5. Jessica. Every time I come up with a new business approach, I pull out my massive whiteboard and my favorite colorful dry erase markers. Bubble charts are my brainstorming method of choice, and they have served me well every time. Usually, when I'm listing ideas, connecting the benefits each direction could take me, I sink into a unique navigation mode. I am one with the captain of the ship, and I can innately sense which route will get me where I want to go. More than that, I can sniff out the routes that will send me on unnecessary detours, wasting time, energy, and resources. I got myself fully hyped up for this moment. I called the office, told them I'd come in late, and stepped into my favorite power suit. This one makes me feel like $1,000,000, and though I'm not leaving the house just yet, I strapped on the most gorgeous set of Louis Vuittons. I strut back and forth in my creation room, eyeing my whiteboard like I'm about to conquer the world. I'm about to charter new territory, and, like my other voyages, I'll discover the perfect route. I'll start by getting some ideas on the board. Usually, I have a few swimming through my mind. Today, however, the waters are still. Very still. I'm talking crime scene pond type of still. I grab my favorite hot pink marker, twist off the lid with a satisfying squeak, and snap it onto the end with a pop. I rest my hand on the board, just left of center, where I always start, and wait for inspiration to strike. And wait. It doesn't. I employ my breathing trick, a long breath in, followed by a second sharp inhale, the double breath. I let it out slowly, reminding myself that I have what it takes to do this. I've done it time and time before, and I'm going to do it again. I barely get through that thought when a memory flashes to mind, my mom and me enjoying a luxury dinner on an overnight charter. The table is set with glistening china and cutlery plated in gold. Mom has champagne while strawberry milk fills my glass. We try things like escargot, seafood stuffed mushrooms, and shrimp cocktail, an appetizer that makes Mom moan as she savors each bite. For dinner, we have all the things we can't afford: lobster, steak, and crab legs dunked in real butter. We're in our fanciest dresses. Mom looks beautiful. She always does, but dressed up like this, all fancy, she reminds me of a movie star. "See, baby," she says to me, "this is the good life. This is a life you want to aim for. Don't you let any man hold you back from achieving your dreams, from living the kind of luxury you deserve. Promise me you won't let them." I clear my throat at the recollection. I was 11 years old at the time, and I remember having plenty of questions running through my mind. And while part of Mom's plea confused me, I knew enough of the story. I knew that my dad didn't want to be a father, so he left. I knew that Mom, who'd been earning her degree at the time and planning to attend law school, gave all that up to take care of me. I knew that, in addition to working full-time as a secretary, she worked nights and weekends at the diner to make ends meet. And though she never did get to go back to school, she spent years paying off the loans she'd already accrued. What Mom meant, essentially, was that I should never fall so deeply in love with the boy that I stopped pursuing my own dreams, my own education, and building my own wealth. So, I nodded fervently, and clinked my delicate flute against Mom's with a smile. I promise. On that small charter alone, Mom spent close to a third of her modest inheritance, I later learned. Grandpa had died months prior, and in anticipation of the windfall, Mom booked the special trip, determined to show me what the finer things in life really looked like. She hadn't been wrong. Compared to frozen meals, boxed mac and cheese, and hot dogs I learned to prepare a dozen different ways, that was really living. I pull myself from my musings, glance at the pink tip of the marker, and figure it's probably dried out by now. I click the lid back on and snatch a black marker instead. This means business. I write the most obvious thing that pops to mind: the beach's 40-something singles events. I circle that, draw a line out from it, and write family group activities, because I usually refuse to go to them. Sure, I've gone to maybe one or two, but the fact is I'm not a mother, and I'm not sure I'd make a good stepmom either. I put a square around that and draw lines coming from the box. In smaller print, I write out the advantages attending that particular activity could give me. Meet people who don't come to the regular meetings. See some of the successful couples who have blended their families. Yes, some of the couples who met at the singles events will still attend them with their blended families, mainly carrying a lot of the prep weight so the rest of the folks can mingle. It will be humbling. I gulp, because writing that was hard for me. The fact is, I do have an air about me when it comes to young moms and their screaming babies. Of course, the women my age have kids in the teen and tween phase now, and that's an embarrassment all its own. Awkward posture, unfortunate acne, and the rebellious phases that cause many of the kids to look like clowns. Some show outright disrespect to parents in public, which is something I always knew better than to even try. So yes, I'm a bit of a snob. I don't have bratty kids to worry about. I don't have anyone holding me back or dragging me down. I can get dolled up, I can treat myself without any guilt, and I can... spend Christmas mornings with my mother and Chip, her fiancé, who happens to be my age. And no, I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, that's the lonely side of things, I guess. I once dated a single dad named Justin. He had shared custody of his daughter Charity. They celebrated a few days after the fact, calling it Second Christmas. Charity was so excited. I'll never forget the tender exchange of their modest, heartfelt gifts, a wall hanging she'd made for him, featuring her handprint in bright green paint to make a tree, the gleam of delight in Charity's eye as she oohed and awed over what had to have been the least expensive gift he'd ever bought. "I can't believe you remembered that I wanted mittens with green stripes," she'd said. It was a tall order, he'd told her, but I know a person who's good with a knitting needle, and she made them special just for you. Their delight had touched a very vulnerable part of my heart, a part that threatens to pry open once again. I straighten and sniff. No, that wasn't meant to be. Justin wanted a woman with a heart for motherhood. He wanted more kids, and he wanted someone to love his little Charity as much as he did. I had the adoration down easily enough, but I was scared too, and he sensed that. So yes, Justin was the one to break things off. I don't fully agree with his assessment of me, but I can admit, it's fair enough. I sweep all that under the metaphorical rug where it belongs, and add another bubble, listing benefits of attending the other 40-something singles events. I could catch someone coming for the first time, someone who may not come back if they don't find anyone they're interested in. I also scribbled out the fundraisers they do from time to time, listing the ways attending them could help me achieve my goal as well. Next, I pick up the turquoise marker and groan as I pull off the lid because I already know what I'm going to write down, and I do not want to do it. I go just right of center this time and scribble in the words online dating. I draw a circle around it and instantly put a slash through the center. No, I am too smart to explore this avenue any further. As far as I'm concerned, I have explored this option inside, outside, up and downside, and all I could see was the worst sides of internet dating. I feel good about crossing that out because I don't waste time and energy on fruitless ventures. I put the marker back, grab a green one, and write agree to setups. This one almost pains me to write as much as the online dating one, but I've got to bend a little. My side notes include the names of people who've been trying to set me up for months. There are 3: Lindsay, the woman at Ulta who wants to set me up with her son, Mitch, who owns a heating and air company; Mindy from the gym, who says her brother, who's a middle-grade teacher, would be perfect for me; and Fanny, the adorable widow I sit next to at church, says her grandson lives in Norfolk, and he needs a good woman. I inwardly agree to go on one date with all 3 guys if they're still single and agreeable. I step back to survey the board, a sense of dread rumbling through me. One more, I tell myself. Come on, Jessica. You can do it. I grab the bright red marker, the marker I usually reserve for my boldest option. A jolt of electricity shoots through me because I have such an option in mind. I rest the side of my hand on the board, up in center, and dare myself to write the words, Extreme Matchmaking Reform Therapy. Sure, I haven't looked into it yet, but it's an idea all the same. If Mr. Anonymous, who may or may not be Jake Silver, is great enough to entertain the idea, why shouldn't I? I'm a woman who wants to achieve her goals come high water or Hades. If anyone's going to be open to extreme methods, it's me. Besides, I'm 43 years old. That's when I feel it, my inner navigation kicking in, leading me in that direction. Fiercely confirming, with a gust of hope in my lungs and a burst of excitement in my heart, that this is the right avenue for me. This is a path I should explore. And yes, at this moment, I feel brave enough to try it. And no, not just because I'd rather do that than agree to an online date or disappoint my acquaintances when their setup doesn't go as planned. I feel brave enough because it must be the best route. I step back and look at the board, cap my red marker, and rest it back on the tray. I dust my hands as I stride, shoulders high, determination set, direction clear. I'm going to do it, and no fear-mongering chat group will talk me out of it. And now, I decide as I finish getting ready for work, a small reward for good behavior. I pull up my chat group with Shelley and Annika. Me, who's up for a last-minute escape before the holidays? Hawaii, maybe? Or somewhere in the Caribbean. So long as it's hot and has a beach, I'm all about it. Chapter 6. Jessica. I can't believe I let you guys talk me into flying with this airline. I say, glancing about the world's smallest, most ancient airport. Hey, we were lucky to get anything with such short notice, Shelley, who's a more patient person than I am, says with a shrug. Annika doesn't look nearly so poised. Her nostrils flare as she scans the massive crowds. Maybe this was a bad idea. We wanted to be somewhere warmer, and we might just end up getting stuck in Glacierville for the week. She breaks out the nasal voice she uses when impersonating virtually anybody. Sorry for the inconvenience, folks, but we will not be chartering the plane to Jamaica under these conditions. We will, however, see that you have a nice igloo over your head and some granola bars to get you by. Granola bars? Shelley echoes. Where did that come from? Oh, it's just everybody's go-to food. You're starving? Have a granola bar. You haven't eaten for days? Have a granola bar. You have a nervous stomach and feel like you might vomit or die? Have a granola bar. I hate granola bars, she says with a passion. I sigh, thinking about how horrible it would be if I were sentenced to eat them for an entire week. Me too. Maybe we should have booked Grand Cayman instead. Actually, Annika says, that flight's about to get grounded here too. I groan. Please say that's not true. It is, Annika assures me. This place is going to be even more crowded in a minute. You guys are seeing this all wrong, Shelley says. If we happen to get stranded in a place like this, and trust me, that is a big, huge if, we'd certainly be able to make the most of it. Think about all the events we could get involved in. Snowman contests, sledding parties, hot cocoa, and Christmas pageants. Christmas pageants? Where do you think we landed? The Hallmark Channel? I don't mean to pull a cringe face, but where does Shelley come up with stuff like this? And how can she think they measure up to a trip to Jamaica? Or Charlie Brown's Town, Annika says. I suck in a deep breath and shake my head. We've got to shift the energy, ladies. No more talking about getting stranded here because that's not what's going to happen. We are getting on that plane because the blizzard is going to clear, and we're going to Jamaica. I silently lift a prayer for that very thing to happen. Sure, it's a selfish one. And yes, it has me thinking back on the EMRT questionnaire I filled out before we left. That was not a fun little test, by the way. It made me feel like a shallow, empty, pathetic excuse for a human who probably deserves to be alone until she's dead. I hope you're right, Annika says, because I am missing a Christmas, well, not pageant, but program. I look over at her, and she explains. My nephew Martin is taking piano lessons, and Liam's niece Paige just started taking voice lessons from the same teacher. It's not a pageant or anything, but they are having a Christmas-themed program, and it sounded kind of cute. Plus, she adds, her shoulders drooping yet another inch, I really shouldn't have let Jenny be in charge of the wedding this week. The bride requested a carriage ride with actual horses. You know how many things can go wrong when we include animals. A sliver of guilt slices through me as I mull over Annika's comment. But then irritation joins too. If you didn't want to come, you should have just told me. I know, she says, but I really did want to come. It's just not the best timing, I guess. Besides, you didn't force me or anything, and I've been really looking forward to it. But if we're going to be stuck here... I thought we weren't going to talk about getting stuck here. I glance about the poor excuse for an airport. It's more of a pit stop, really. Our layover was supposed to be in Charlotte, not this itty-bitty speck on the map for small-time pilots. Still, we couldn't even make it that far due to the storm. I glance over at Shelley, who looks pensive. I can't help but think she's having similar thoughts. What about you? Shelley looks at me guiltily. Huh? I said. I drawl, irritation coating my words. What about you? Annika didn't really want to come on this trip. That's not what I said, Annika inserts. I ignore her. Did you feel pressured into coming on this trip too? No, I didn't feel pressured. I wouldn't have planned it myself this close to Christmas. But it sounded like a nice getaway, like you said. I don't like how stuffy it is in here. It stinks too, like dirty diapers and rotten milk. There's a bunch of people breathing the same air with no ventilation, and if I think about it too much, I'll gag. I have to use the restroom, I announce, frustrated that Shelley and Annika even said yes to this. I would have rather gone by myself than go with two people who didn't really want to come. My inner voice disagrees because both of them were a little resistant when I brought up the idea on the group text, but I encouraged them to do it since I knew we'd end up having a good time. I'm on my feet with nowhere to go. Well, I know where I want to go, but the inside of this place is practically one swarming crowd. In airport situations, I walk fast. Really fast. On the moving sidewalks, I'm the woman people scoot far against the edge for, clutching their suitcases so they don't get clipped as I breeze by, a carry-on clicking at my heels. Here, people aimlessly shuffle this way and that, looking for a sliver of space to stretch or walk or breathe. I'm forced to take irritating baby steps, one at a time, a little bit to the left because the kid in front of me is glued to his phone, then slightly to the right to avoid the stroller coming from the opposite direction. Then I'm forced to step around the old lady with a walker who decided this was the perfect place to tie her shoe. I'm about to walk around the next woman standing in front of her when I realize that a line has formed there. I step back, my brow furrowed in wonder because isn't the bathroom clear down? I gasp. Yes, the ladies' room is clear the crap down there, and yes, this is the line for it. I groan and clutch the straps around my shoulder. Fine, I decide. This is just fine. I'd rather be in this line with a bunch of strangers than with Annika and Shelley right now. I glance over at them and see that they are huddled in a massive group around the tiny kiosk. Please tell me this means the storm is cleared. I'm desperate to run over there and hear the news for myself, but my pride forces me to stay in place. Plus, it turns out I really do have to pee. I feel a tap on my leg. Could you help me get back to my feet, dear? Comes a shaky voice from the floor. I glance down to see the lady who tied her shoe struggling to get back up. Oh, I say, of course. I angle her walker so the handles are closer, then help her to her feet and rest her hands on the grips. There, is that good? Yes, dear, thank you. She chuckles. Heck of a time to get stranded. Where are you headed? The woman, who's a good foot shorter than me, blinks brightly as she waits for my reply. Jamaica, I say, with my friends. But it turns out they don't even want to go. What do you mean by that? She asks. I shrug, feeling pouty and annoyed. I think they felt obligated to come, and now that the whole thing's getting cancelled, I'm the only one that's disappointed. A mother and daughter shuffle out of the bathroom, and the line creeps forward. The woman takes 2 slow steps with her walker, then glances at me again. No one said your trip has to be cancelled, she says. If you still want to go to Jamaica, you should. Let them go home if that's where they want to be. I nod. Yeah, I should. Right. She chuckles. You should. Have a margarita for me. Now I laugh. Where are you headed? To spend the holidays with my daughter and her family. One of my sons lives in Norfolk with me, and I usually spend Christmas with them, but my daughter Cassie and her kids, they're grown now you see, live in Raleigh and the surrounding areas. They couldn't fly home this year, so she offered to fly me out here. We almost made it too, she says. The kind man over there says we're just 3 hours from the right airport, where my daughter was supposed to pick me up. Though in this storm that wasn't likely to happen anyway. Hopefully it blows over soon. Right, I say, realizing that not only has the other flight landed but it took off from the same airport. I'm not too far from you actually, I tell her. I live in VA Beach. Oh, would you look at that? You're from Virginia too? She asks, surprised. The brunette with a pixie cut overhears and leans in. That's where both planes were from. Just different airlines. For some, Raleigh was a layover. For others, it was the final stop. Ah, the old lady says. I see. Well, so long as I have family around, I'll be right at home. There's no place like home for the holidays, the woman with the pixie cut agrees. I can't help but think that Annika and Shelley are feeling the same way. Sure, it isn't Christmas just yet, but perhaps they actually like all the family parties and get-togethers that seem to clog the entire month for most people. All this time, I was glad to be getting out of stuff like that. I never considered that people actually looked forward to all those obligations. The line starts to shift forward again. It seems like I'm the last woman in the building who had the idea to hit the restroom because not one person has lined up behind me. I would have gone when Annika and Shelley went, but I offered to watch the bags and listen for any updates instead. I glance over my shoulder to see the two breaking away from the crowd with wide grins on their faces. I can't help but feel hopeful about the news they might share. Please say the storm is clearing and they're resuming our flight schedule. Well, good news? Annika goes first. They have 2 massive shuttles coming out now, enough to get everyone to Raleigh. From there, we can wait until flights clear, check into a hotel or both. They look excited enough that my shoulders start to lift and my irritation starts to fade. Excitement stirs in my chest. We might really be going to Jamaica. Yep, Shelley says. Even if we get sent home, Annika adds, it's better than being stuck here. The statement threatens to dampen my lifting mood since it's yet another indication that home is where her heart is. I fight off the jealous surge that wrestles through me. I guess if I was going to choose to stay single my whole life, I should have had siblings who had families so that I could at least live vicariously through them. Group 1, the attendant calls, arms waving over his head. The first shuttle is here. Everybody who signed up for the first shuttle, please step in line. Annika hands over my carry-on and grins. That's us. We put your name on the list too, Shelley explains. Let's go. Well, if it's a 3-hour drive, I really better pee first. Inwardly, I know this isn't like me. Inwardly, I know I'm being salty over the idea that they're not as excited about this trip as I am. So I don't feel like being around them right now. Annika's eyes go wide. Even if it means missing the shuttle? I shrug. You said they're sending 2 and that they have space for all of us. I'll just take the next one and meet you guys there. Another glance passes between them before they look at me. I guess you're right, Shelley says. Annika reaches her arms around me and kisses my cheek. I see a pregnant woman in line. I'm going to go see if I can bum a granola bar off of her. She winks at me, and I smile. Shelley squeezes me next. See you in 3 hours. Now clutching my carry-on, I set my sights on happier thoughts. Thoughts of my warm, sunny vacation. Sure, Annika and Shelley might think they want to be someplace else, or at least that going back home wouldn't be such a bad thing, but they'll be singing a different tune when they're sprawled on the beach with a book while the cool breeze blows. At that thought, a literal breeze blows from the entryway. Those in front of the line are already headed out the doors. The storm hasn't stopped yet. In fact, I decide with a shiver, it seems to be getting worse, just like they predicted. As the women come out of the bathroom one by one, I discover that the lady with the walker is named Duchess. I'm so charmed by the name that I actually want to have a little girl so I can name her Duchess too. So royal, I tell her. I always thought so, she says proudly. We finally make it to the restrooms, and since the single stall opens up first, Duchess tells me to go ahead. I do, but I promise to make sure the shuttle doesn't leave her behind. I come out of the stall, wash my hands, and wait for Duchess just like I promised. I'm getting nervous, however, because the sounds in the airport have dwindled. Also, since I signed up for the extreme therapy thing, this trip could be my last hurrah for a while. Who knows what I'm in for with that? Just thinking about it makes me shift my weight with discomfort. What a rash, bizarre thing to do. I shake my head and let out a tisk. Here I openly slam Jake Silver or whoever said they were considering the treatment online, and then I turn round and sign up for it myself. I wonder if it's too late to back out. I also wonder if the shuttle will leave us before sweet little Duchess gets out of the stall. No, I tell myself. They won't send the shuttles off before checking the restrooms. At last, a toilet flushes. Moments later, Duchess twists the lock and shuffles out with her walker, a carry-on bag strapped between the 2 bars. She locks eyes with me through her gold-rimmed glasses. You waited. I grin. Of course. But we better get moving. I've got antibacterial wipes in my bag, Duchess says. I'll skip the sink and use those. When we step out of the restroom, I'm relieved to see that the second line is half out the door and half in the building. Ah, Duchess says reverently. We made it. Would you mind snatching a cleansing wipe out of my bag for me, dear? I secure one of the wipes, and we stay in place, waiting for the back of the line to catch up with us because it's sure to happen before we catch up with it. Suddenly, Duchess gasps and throws out her hand to stare at it. My wedding ring! My heart drops. What? Are you sure you had it? Tears are already forming in her eyes. She frantically pats her body from every angle, nearly losing her balance as she grabs onto the walker once more. Oh yes, I go nowhere without it. My sweet Henry has been in heaven for 6.5 years now, and I never take it off. It must have slipped somehow. She drifts off there, her face turning thoughtful before her eyes light up. I bet it was while I was knitting over there in the waiting area. She points to a section in the far corner of the airport. Or, I suppose it could be in the bathroom, but I don't think so. No, I'm certain that it must be over in the waiting area, one of the seats by the door. I was just knitting and had to work out such a tangle. The ring must have slid right off my finger. I can't help but fear that somehow there won't be enough seats on the shuttle. That me playing the hero to find Duchess's ring could be the very reason I end up getting stranded here. But as I'm struck by the look on the woman's face, I can tell I have no choice. "Here's the end of the line," I say with a nod. From the corner of my eye, I spot a group of men in suits coming out of the restroom to join the line. "I'll go find your ring. You stay here." "Ah, bless you, Honorable." Just then, a small family of 4 breaks free from the line, a mom rushing to the ladies' room with her daughter, the dad scurrying a little boy toward the men's. It reassures me that the shuttle will wait for the rest of the passengers. Still, I hasten my footsteps as I see a man with a vacuum unwinding a long cord at that very section. I rush over to him just as he's about to plug into one of the floor outlets. "Can you wait and vacuum here last?" I ask. The man in a blue jumper furrows his brow. "Why's that?" "Because a woman over there lost a wedding ring, and she says she was sitting in this section, knitting. Over by the door, actually." I drop my gaze to the floor there and spot the reason this guy probably wants to start with this section. What looks like candy-coated popcorn is scattered all over the floor. "Yep," the man says. "Some silly parent gave their spoiled child an entire bag of candied popcorn. The kid, barely able to walk, emptied the bag onto the floor and proceeded to stomp all over it. It's right in the corner seat by the far door, so I give him a pleading look. "If you're vacuuming the whole place anyway, would you mind ending with this so I can hurry and look through it?" The guy glances over his shoulder about the place before giving a shrug. "Sure, why not? You've got 10 minutes. Storm's only getting worse, and we've all got to clear out and batten down the hatches." "Thank you." Relief floods through me so rapidly that I actually hug the guy, then step back because I'm not the most affectionate person, and I don't know what came over me. It's just that, for the first time this season, I'm actually feeling a bit of Christmas cheer. And as I hurry over to the mess on the floor, dropping to my knees in my skirt and running my hands over the messy treat, a warm spot of pride starts to bloom. This is me, an admittedly spoiled person, doing the right thing even though it's hard. I'm helping a sweet old lady when nobody else would. Sure, I was the only one aware of the issue, but I could have easily shrugged it off, passed the information along and hurried onto the shuttle. I'm glad I didn't. Come high water or Hades, I'm going to find Duchess's ring.